Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. Finally, dobrodošli, my new video, and today it's not gonna be something unsettling for you guys because all you saw was either gore content on my personal tragedies. This time we'll talk about something positive, and we talk about Formula One, my sport, my passion, my everything, my first love. Why we are talking today? Because at the season opener in 2 weeks from now on in Melbourne, Albert Park, Australia Grand Prix is my 300th race that I'm watching. And now we're gonna summarize what happened throughout my since childhood until now, how it looked like, for whom I was rooting for, what are the best races for me, and some personal experiences. So yeah, my first race was Turkey 2011. In the season where Sebastian Vettel was dominant with Red Bull, and I was 6.5 years old, and it was pretty much um, okay race. Nothing special, but still, I saw Vettel was being dominant, and I realized he's really good, even when I saw that he's already a champion. But at the time when I started watching, I was looking only for Michael Schumacher because I've been told since my earliest days who he was and how he was great. He made incredible charge through the field in that race. Next race wasn't that special too much, except for the brutal start of Fernando Alonso in Barcelona. And finally, we had an interesting race in Monaco because of high drama that was happening in late stages of the Grand Prix. And then it comes famous Canadian Grand Prix, longest race of all time. After 2 hours of watching, uh, I remember my mom was telling me, "Hey, Mattia, you have to go to sleep. School is tomorrow." But I didn't listen. I just want to finish the race. And I remember Johnson Button was right down at the bottom of the field. And no one knew that he's gonna make it to the points, let alone to win the race in the latest stages of the Grand Prix. Um, I think that's it from that season because it was really dominant by Sebastian Vettel. We all knew that he's gonna win the championship at some point. In 2012, it was open battle between 5, 6 drivers already, and probably the biggest sensation was Pastor Maldonado winning for Williams. I didn't realize at that point how important it was until I saw later throughout his career who he became and how much memes were produced after that weekend. Um, Title showdown in Brazil was probably the best race of all time. I remember I was rooting for Sebastian Vettel back in those days, and seeing him spun around in the turn 4, Skida de Lago, I think it's called like that. I don't know, correct me if I was wrong. And I remember I was, no, not again. He's not gonna make it to the championship. Especially when I saw Fernando Alonso passing both Weber and Massa on the start-finish straight at the end of the first lap, I was like, no, it's all over. But Vettel proved us all wrong, and he went on to victory that completely devastated his opponents. And his next season was also incredible when he scored 9 wins consecutively for Red Bull. And I was probably one of the rare people who actually cheered for Sebastian Vettel back in those days because everyone was tired of him, seeing him winning. And then started Turbo Era V6 hybrid engines and stuff, that bullshit. Um, it was kind of okay season because there was a title fight between Hamilton and Rosberg, but not seeing Red Bull being top tier team until Daniel Ricciardo won races in Canada, Hungary, and Belgium. It was not the sweetest taste in my mouth after what I saw that happened to. Hold on. After what I saw that happened. And at the end of the season, you all probably know what happened in Japanese Grand Prix when Gilles Bianchi crashed into the tractor next to the track, and his injuries were severe. I hope that he'll make it, but sadly he didn't. He died in July next year. Talking about next year, it was probably the worst season ever, but coming off Max Verstappen made me like finally it's time for someone new to bring Red Bull back in those days of glory with Sebastian Vettel, and I was just waiting for that moment, and after Daniel Kvyat did become torpedo, when he torpedoed Sebastian Vettel in 2 consecutive races, I'll forever remember that cool down room confrontation. And Max finally won in Barcelona. I decided then no more cheering for Vettel. Now I'm Verstappen fan. And Monaco that season was heartbreaking for me because Daniel Ricciardo lost the victory in dramatic circumstances when his team made an error in the pit stop, and but somehow he made his redemption 2 years later. What happened later when I saw that Rosberg and Hamilton are only title contenders, I decided to cheer for Rosberg because Hamilton was already having 3 titles and Rosberg 0. So yeah, I decided to make that move. Probably the best race of the season was Brazilian Grand Prix. Why? Because of Max coming from 16th up to 3rd in like 70, 80 laps till the end of the race, and taking his first fast lap of his career. Pardon. 2017 was kind of meh season because Max retired in like half of all the races he entered, and basically none of them was his error. It was car failure or someone else crashing into him. I blamed Raikkonen a lot after Spain and Singapore, which turned away championship in Hamilton's favor. After Sebastian Vettel crashed out in the opening lap, I still remember that day. 2018 was breakthrough season for us, Max Verstappen first, because after a disappointing start of the season where he barely managed to end up on the podium, he started finishing all races among the top 5 from the Belgian Grand Prix after the summer break till the next season Hungarian Grand Prix, and scored magnificent victories such as Austria against Charles Leclerc in 2019 and 2019 Germany 2 races later against everyone, where he proved his dominance in wet conditions, of course. That season was another heartbreaking moment because we lost Anthony Berr in Formula 2. To this day, I haven't recovered too much mentally because that accident is still fresh in my mind. Yeah. So I remember those were 2 victories in a row for Charles Leclerc, who dedicated a win for Anton, and it was a kind of emotional for me moment. Till the end of the season, Max managed to fight back and secure 3rd place in the standings, which was pretty nice. 2020 was bizarre season with all the coronavirus and stuff like that. I still to this day believe that Mercedes was illegal car, and without Max retiring 5 times due to car failures or something on track that happens, I thought that he would make it to his first championship. What I also hate about that season is Hamilton's political activism into stuff like We Races One, Black Lives Matter, and stuff like that. Okay, I can understand that they need some justice, they need some equality, and etc. But sport is there. We are here for racing, not for someone's agenda. 2021, finally, Max made it to his maiden title. I was really all season cheering for him. It was all dramatic. I remember we all thought it was over, but Latifi crashed out in Abu Dhabi to bring out the safety car, and that one lap at the restart that decided history of the Formula One. Probably the best night ever. And something that I will tell my grandkids what happened that night, just like my grandparents were talking to me about how great Ayrton Senna and Michael Schumacher were back in time. 2022 was okay season, but yeah, we all knew that Charles Leclerc was competitive to win the championship if it wasn't Ferrari reliability and strategic mistakes that cost the team much more valuable points. We cannot forget the controversy in Brazil between two Red Bull drivers, Max and Checo. I personally believe that Max did nothing wrong by not letting Checo through, because if Checo did the same, I wouldn't be bothered too much. I mean, they are racing their own races, and title was already decided. In 2023, it was the most dominant season of Max. I really enjoyed every moment, especially his 10th win in a row. And we are still questioning probably what would happen if he won in Singapore. It would be like 20 races in a row, knowing that he won 9 races following the Singapore Grand Prix. So yeah, it was a good season, but somehow boring, and there were barely any races such as Netherlands or Interlagos, where race was coming down to wire and was really dramatic, and Las Vegas, of course. 2024, I thought Max is gonna be dominant again, but after seeing him failing car failure in Melbourne, that Miami, when Lando Norris scored his maiden win, I was happy at the moment for Lando, because I didn't know that he's gonna become a championship contender. But the most beautiful moment was probably Charles Leclerc winning in Monaco, and following races were pure agony for us Verstappen fans, because we saw Lando was edging towards the Max, gaining several points per race, and he was already closing up until the Brazilian Grand Prix, and that moment it all turned against Max, but heavens opened and rain starts falling. I thought Lando is gonna win the race and close drastically the championship without Max being probably in the points or on the podium, but when I saw the graphic, it was like 20 and some laps. I saw Max was ahead of Lando, and I was like, what is happening then? Pardon again. Then red flag was shown after Franco Colapinto crashed. It was then when a bit of luck followed for Verstappen, but I still believe his race coming from 70 to first was something Oscar-worthy moment. And that was moment where he demolished Lando. Of course, there was a showdown between two constructors, Ferrari and McLaren, in Abu Dhabi in the last race that happened. It was interesting from the very start, the carnage at the opening lap, Max versus Oscar Piastri, then Sergio Perez being spun around, Kevin Magnussen versus Valtteri Bottas crashing out, and Hamilton's last lap pass on his teammate George Russell before he finally moved for Ferrari. What are my predictions for this season, 2025? I believe it's going to be a hard battle between Ferrari, McLaren, and Red Bull, of course. Probably Aston Martin and Mercedes, but we'll wait until 2026, the new regulation changes, to see who is going to win the title. But it's obvious that's not going to be someone like Haas or VCARB. Or Stay Kicks Sauber, they are not gonna score anything, sadly, unfortunately, but yeah, that's racing. So that's it from this video. I summarized my career of F1 watcher and F1 enjoyer since the earliest childhood. I watched so far 299 Formula One races. My personal favorite was Brazil 2012 and Abu Dhabi 2021, and probably the worst race we watched was I don't know, it was probably some boring race during Hamilton dominance, because I never liked Hamilton, to be honest. Let's say 2020 Spanish Grand Prix, nothing special happened that day, apart from Leclerc spinning out, and there wasn't any action on track or anything. It was a race where we fought so hard to stay awake. So yeah, that's it from this video. Till the next one, stay blessed. Ciao.